The Battle of Saratoga, fought in 1777, is often regarded as the pivotal moment in the American Revolutionary War. This significant encounter consisted of two major battles fought 18 days apart on the same ground: the Battle of Freeman's Farm on September 19th and the Battle of Bemis Heights on October 7. The American victory at Saratoga was not only a crucial military triumph, but also a turning point that altered the course of the war and secured international support for the American cause. Following the failure of the American invasion of Canada in 1775 to 1776, the British amassed a substantial force along the St. Lawrence River. The British strategy for 1777 was ambitious, a three-pronged attack aimed at isolating New England from the rest of the colonies by gaining control of the Hudson River Valley. General John Burgoyne was to lead the main force south from Canada through Lake Champlain and Lake George, converging on Albany, New York. Colonel Barry St. Leger was to advance from Oswego along the Mohawk Valley, while General Sir William Howe's army would move north from New York City up the Hudson River. Burgoyne's army, comprising about 9,000 men, including British regulars and German mercenaries, made steady progress initially. They captured Fort Ticonderoga on July 6th, which the American forces abandoned without a fight. However, the challenging terrain of dense forests and swamps soon slowed Burgoyne's advance to a crawl. By the time he reached Fort Edward on the upper Hudson, he was in desperate need of supplies. The British strategy to control the Hudson Valley was based on the assumption that they could divide the American colonies and isolate New England, which was seen as the hotbed of the rebellion. By gaining control of the Hudson River, they hoped to cut off New England from the rest of the colonies, thereby weakening the American resistance. This plan, however, was fraught with difficulties and ultimately failed due to a combination of strategic missteps, logistical challenges, and effective American resistance. Meanwhile, the American forces under General Philip Schuyler adopted a strategy of scorched earth, burning crops and removing livestock to deny the British supplies. This forced Burgoyne to send a detachment to raid the American supply depot at Bennington, Vermont. On August 16th, this detachment was decisively defeated by American militia under General John Stark, significantly depleting Burgoyne's forces. General Horatio Gates replaced Schuyler on August 19th and took command of the American Northern Department. Gates, an experienced and capable leader, established a strong defensive position at Bemis Heights, south of Saratoga. Reinforcements swelled the American ranks to approximately 12,000 men, giving Gates a numerical advantage over Burgoyne, whose force had dwindled to about 6,000 combat-ready troops due to casualties, desertions, and the detachment left to garrison Fort Ticonderoga. The defeat at Bennington was a significant blow to Burgoyne's campaign. Not only did he lose nearly 1,000 men, but he also failed to secure the much-needed supplies. This defeat also had a demoralizing effect on his troops and contributed to the erosion of support from his Native American allies, who had been instrumental in his initial successes. The American victory at Bennington boosted the morale of the American forces and galvanized local militia to join Gates's army at Bemis Heights. On September 19th, Burgoyne decided to engage the American forces at Freeman's Farm. The British troops encountered stiff resistance from Colonel Daniel Morgan's sharpshooters, who inflicted heavy casualties. The battle raged throughout the afternoon, with neither side able to gain a decisive advantage. The British held the field at day's end, but at a high cost. Nearly 600 British soldiers were killed or wounded, compared to about 300 American casualties. Despite the inconclusive outcome, the battle had a significant impact on Burgoyne's campaign. His forces were now critically low on supplies, and he was isolated with no reinforcements forthcoming. General Sir Henry Clinton, commanding British forces in New York, had planned an expedition up the Hudson River, but did not intend to relieve Burgoyne directly. The Battle of Freeman's Farm demonstrated the effectiveness of the American defensive strategy and the skill of their sharpshooters. The dense woods and uneven terrain favored the Americans, who were familiar with the landscape and adept at guerrilla tactics. The British, on the other hand, struggled to maintain their formations and suffered heavy casualties as a result. This battle also highlighted the resilience and determination of the American forces, who, despite being outnumbered and outgunned, managed to hold their ground and inflict significant damage on the British. With supplies dwindling and no reinforcements in sight, Burgoyne decided to risk another engagement on October 7th. He launched a reconnaissance in force to probe the American left flank. The Americans, however, were well prepared. Brigadier General Benedict Arnold, although officially without a command due to a dispute with Gates, took it upon himself to lead a counterattack. His leadership and the bravery of his troops turned the tide, resulting in a decisive American victory. Arnold's actions were instrumental in breaking the British lines. General Simon Fraser, a key British commander, was fatally wounded during the battle, further demoralizing Burgoyne's troops. The Americans captured the German redoubt after fierce fighting, forcing Burgoyne to retreat to his fortified positions. The Battle of Bemis Heights was a turning point in the Saratoga campaign. Arnold's leadership and the determination of the American forces overwhelmed the British, who were unable to withstand the ferocity of the American attacks. The death of General Fraser was a significant blow to the British, as he was one of their most experienced and capable commanders. The capture of the German redoubt also demonstrated the effectiveness of the American strategy and the skill of their soldiers in both defensive and offensive operations. Realizing the futility of his situation, Burgoyne began a retreat northward on October 8th, but Gates's forces quickly surrounded him at Saratoga. With his army exhausted, supplies depleted, and no hope of relief, Burgoyne had no choice but to surrender. On October 17, 1777, he signed the Convention of Saratoga, agreeing to surrender his remaining 5,800 troops. The terms allowed his soldiers to return to Britain on the condition they would not serve again in North America during the war. Burgoyne's surrender was a momentous event in the American Revolution. It marked the first time a British army had been defeated and captured in such a decisive manner. This victory was a testament to the resilience and determination of the American forces and their ability to effectively coordinate and execute complex military operations. The surrender also had significant implications for the British, who were forced to reassess their strategy and recognize the seriousness of the American rebellion. The American victory at Saratoga was monumental in several respects. It was the first major defeat of a British army and significantly boosted American morale. The success demonstrated that the Continental Army could stand up to the British in a large-scale engagement, disproving the notion that the Americans were merely a disorganized militia. Perhaps most importantly, the victory at Saratoga convinced France of the viability of the American cause. In February 1778, France formally entered the war as an ally of the United States, providing essential military support, supplies, and financial aid. This alliance transformed the American Revolution into a global conflict, drawing in Spain and the Netherlands against Britain. The American victory at Saratoga had profound diplomatic repercussions. Prior to the battle, the French had been hesitant to commit fully to the American cause, despite their animosity towards Britain following their defeat in the 7 Years' War. The stunning American success at Saratoga demonstrated that the Continental Army could potentially defeat the British, thus making an alliance with the Americans a strategic opportunity for France to weaken its traditional rival. The French, under King Louis XVI, had been providing covert support to the Americans through supplies, funds, and volunteers. However, following the news of Saratoga, France decided to enter into formal negotiations with the Americans. This culminated in the signing of two treaties in February 1778, the Treaty of Amity and Commerce and the Treaty of Alliance. The Treaty of Amity and Commerce established a formal trade relationship between France and the United States, recognizing American independence and promising mutual economic benefits. The Treaty of Alliance, on the other hand, was a military pact that ensured French support in the war against Britain. France pledged to send troops, naval forces, and supplies to aid the American war effort. This alliance was pivotal, as it brought significant resources and military expertise to the American side. The entry of France into the war had a domino effect, drawing other European powers into the conflict. Spain, allied with France through the Bourbon Family Compact, declared war on Britain in 1779, followed by the Netherlands in 1780. These alliances stretched British resources and forced them to fight on multiple fronts, both in Europe and the Caribbean. The Saratoga campaign had lasting implications for military strategy and doctrine. The American success was largely due to their effective use of terrain, guerrilla tactics, and the integration of regular and militia forces. These strategies showcased the importance of adaptability and innovation in military planning. The American forces at Saratoga effectively utilized the dense forests and rough terrain to their advantage. The sharpshooters, led by Daniel Morgan, harassed and inflicted significant casualties on the British, disrupting their formations and weakening their resolve. The use of earthworks and fortified positions at Bemis Heights provided the Americans with strong defensive positions that were difficult for the British to breach. The Saratoga victory also had a lasting influence on the development of American national identity. The success at Saratoga fostered a sense of pride and unity among the American colonists, reinforcing their belief in the righteousness of their cause. It also served as a source of inspiration for future generations, highlighting the importance of perseverance and the pursuit of liberty. The Battle of Saratoga is also remembered for the personal stories of heroism and sacrifice that emerged from the conflict. Benedict Arnold, despite his later infamy as a traitor, was instrumental in the American success at Saratoga. His leadership during the Battle of Bemis Heights was critical in breaking the British lines and securing the American victory. Arnold's aggressive tactics and personal bravery inspired his troops and played a decisive role in the outcome of the battle. His later defection to the British tarnished his legacy, but his contributions at Saratoga remain a significant part of the campaign's history. Daniel Morgan, a seasoned frontiersman and skilled tactician, commanded the American sharpshooters who played a crucial role in both battles. Morgan's men, armed with long rifles, were able to target British officers and disrupt their formations, inflicting heavy casualties. His leadership and expertise in guerrilla warfare were key factors in the American success at Saratoga. General Horatio Gates, the overall commander of the American forces, also played a vital role in the campaign. Gates's decision to establish strong defensive positions at Bemis Heights and his ability to coordinate and inspire his troops were crucial to the American victory. Despite his later controversies and disputes with other American commanders, Gates's leadership at Saratoga was a significant factor in the success of the campaign. The site of the battle is now preserved as Saratoga National Historical Park, where visitors can explore the battlefield, learn about the events of the campaign, and reflect on its significance. Saratoga's legacy is also commemorated in various ways across the United States. Monuments, memorials, and reenactments honor the bravery and sacrifices of those who fought in the battle. The Saratoga Monument, a 155-foot obelisk, stands as a tribute to the American victory and the turning point it represented in the struggle for independence. Do well to like, share, comment, and subscribe as we bring you more intriguing historical stories.